Hi everyone, welcome to AI TV. We're broadcasting live from AI Expo Africa 2020 online, the online edition. Because of COVID, we've taken the AI TV Media Center online as well. And we're doing all our interviews with colleagues, speakers, sponsors, and thought leaders around the world. So we're using Zoom. It means we can go anywhere in the world, which is fantastic. And today I'm kicking off with Ugan Maistry, who's the CEO of FIRtech Systems. They were a sponsor and a speaker at our event. Welcome, Ugan, to AI TV. How are you doing?
Good morning, Nick. All well, thanks. And thanks for having me.
So you're joining us from sunny Johannesburg. Do you want to tell us a little bit about FIRtech and what you guys are doing in the RPA AI space?
Yeah, sure. But maybe first, Nick, congrats to you and your team for hosting a very successful event. We thoroughly enjoyed it. Feedback from my team as well as from customers, very, very positive indeed.
Thanks a lot.
So FIRtech as a business, we're a bit of a startup. We've been around for the last 18 months or so. Our initial focus is on non-traditional type IT. And our first line of business that we have is around robotic process automation. And we are system integrators with partners with UiPath being the leader in this RPA space. We also have a skills academy as part of our business. So when we started the business and in terms of understanding the context of the fourth industrial revolution, we are cognizant of the fact that in as much as this 4IR brings lots of opportunities to us, on the other hand, there's a lot of downside to it as well. Right? And if you're looking at in the context of our country and where we come from an employment and from a skills perspective, there is this massive gap. So hence, it was purposeful in that whatever we did insofar as the positive sides of technology goes, we also need to make sure that we invest in skills and creating tomorrow's leaders in this space.
So again, it's been quite an interesting theme, particularly in this part of the world with AI in the fourth industrial revolution in Africa context, that many companies like yourselves have a commercial core to what you're doing, but then there is this sort of social side as well, where we recognize that the bottom of the pyramid and skills acquisition, by not only the economy and businesses within it, but society and the skills we need is lacking. So fantastic to hear like a company like FIRtech, who's still small, actually doing that as well. So that's fantastic. Is there any specific way young people can get engaged with your skills program? Is there a web link we can leave down below?
Yeah, look, I think, Nick, I mean, this has to be an inclusive journey, right? And for us as a country, in as much as we want to invest, we want corporates to invest in the 4IR and to leverage the opportunities that come out of this 4IR. We have to develop the skills to be able to make this thing sustainable. Because if you don't have the skills, whatever investment you're going to make in 4IR technologies as a company, it's never going to be sustainable long term. So as part of this partnership that we have with the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies, we piloted the first program, which started in the middle of last year, the middle of 2019. And the objective was to train 1,000 unemployed youth in various 4IR technologies. And these include also a wide range of technologies, things like data science or additive manufacturing, or people know it as 3D printing or drone piloting or software development. I mean, we even have a stream in there that's specifically focused around robotic process automation as an example. So this was a pilot program. The program was meant to end in April this year. But because of COVID, the program was suspended in March, and we recommenced the program now in September.
Okay.
So the program should come to an end at the end of October this year. So unfortunately, at this point in time, there's no real new intakes in the program because we're wrapping up the previous program. And the plan is that the next intake would happen in November this year. So once that becomes available, there'll be a marketing campaign around that, a recruitment drive around that in terms of onboarding people into the program. And we're hoping that because the first one was a pilot and just 1,000 unemployed youth or unemployed graduates, we're hoping that we can now scale this program, right? And Because the intent is that by 2030, we want to train 1 million youth in the various 4IR technologies. And obviously, we can't get there by doing 1,000 youth per year.
And is the program all online, Ugan?
So some parts of the program are fully online, but some parts of the program is in person. I mean, if you take the example of drone piloting, I mean, you can't really do drone piloting online. I mean, you have to go to the airfield, you have to do practicals, that kind of stuff. But if you look at other programs like software development or data science, those programs are fully online. Yep. In fact, our 3D printing program in the first cohort, where it was in-person class taught, we've now, as a result of COVID, we've now redesigned that program to be a fully online program, including the parts where people need to actually print their 3D objects. So it is possible and can be done. And I suppose that it was almost necessary, because if we want to scale this program, we can't really have the bricks and mortar approach to this type of skills development. You're going to have to be able to have some kind of digital technologies to be able to reach people in far-flung areas, right? I mean, we want to be able to reach remote areas of South Africa, not just urban areas of South Africa.
Yeah, I mean, there's an interesting initiative that's been launched by Data Science Nigeria. Actually, Bayo Adekambi was the keynote speaker at our event on the first day, and his Data Science Nigeria have a similar mission. They want to train 1 million people over 10 years in data science, and they have chapters all across Nigeria, and they have a whole load of resources available for people, different layers of connectivity. So even if you're offline, you can even get a book for primary school kids to get involved. So, you know, if you can get a printout of a book, or a book can come on a CD, you don't necessarily need to have an internet connection to dive in and start, you know, getting involved. And I think that's a lesson that we can all learn. And also, you know, not to reinvent the wheel. You know, a lot of these resources are freely available, and part of our goal as community leaders is to signpost people to those resources. But yeah, it's a fantastic initiative.
I think education in general, right? I mean, not just our skills development program, but I mean, even primary and secondary level education. I think going through this pandemic, where people have to adapt, do a little bit more online education, and people are realizing that yes, it's a lot of hard work initially, but it's very possible. And so yeah, I think it's going to transform this landscape in a positive way going forward.
That's great. Now, when we spoke earlier, Ugan, you were talking about some new things that you guys are doing at FIRtech. You're moving into the customer journey space. You're getting into IoT. How do you see that all coming together? Are you seeing a demand for those kinds of services and technologies here in our region?
Yeah. So I mean, if you look at the first one around customer journey management, I mean, we've been talking about personalization for a long time. And if you think about industries where there is a large consumer base, so primarily B2C industries, like telcos, like banks, like insurance, at the end of the day, you want to be able to understand your customer behavior. You want to know what does your customer think of your brand and of your offerings. You want to know how customers are using your products, and in terms of what kind of beneficial use do they have for it. You want to understand, are customers looking at your competitors? So in terms of being able to manage churn and retain customers, right? So obviously it's certainly easier to retain customers than to find new customers. So we have a software platform that originated out of Europe. We are the distributors for the platform here we've got the distributorship for Africa, and we're busy taking the product to market at the moment as we speak.
Okay. Fantastic. And then IoT space, I mean, every year we have a group of people either presenting and demonstrating and talking about IoT technologies. Obviously, the sensor networks that suck in data, that drive and feed an algorithmic or AI-based technology that may have AI as part of it, not necessarily exclusively. I mean, IoT is booming as far as I can see here. What specific use cases are you going to be working on at FIRtech in the IoT space?
So I think our use cases are more around maybe from a manufacturing perspective, right? So from an industry point of view.
Okay.
So my original background is in automation. So more than 20 years ago, I was an automation engineer, right? So we were doing things like PLCs and sensors and that kind of stuff. So the infrastructure is already there in most of your manufacturing facilities in terms of what people now call your edge devices. I mean, those things existed a long, long time ago. I mean, we were doing stuff like big data and in-memory computing maybe 15 years ago, whereas only over the last 5 years or so, it's become more mainstream. So we're thinking that the introduction of cloud back into these manufacturing environments where the edge devices already exist, if we can collect all of this information, there's significantly more insights that we'll be able to provide to these manufacturing facilities, and hence, improve their businesses in that way. So we think there's a massive opportunity in that space. That's the target area that we're looking at.
Interesting. Well, look, Ugan, just to wrap up, I mean, it's been great to have, every year we have big companies and small companies that people have never heard of. And I think we were just commenting earlier on that your company was the 4th most popular booth at the show. I think it was only UiPath and Microsoft that were higher than you. So I think what we've proven is that, we can all come together in this new online environment, and a small company can be just as popular as a big company. Brand doesn't necessarily mean much these days when it comes to online. If you can show people you're offering them value and you can get a crowd of people in the room to look at these products and services, people like you can stand out. And I'm just really pleased that you came along and joined us this year. And also thank you for coming on to AI TV today to tell us a little bit about FIRtech. We'll put a link to the company below, and just leaves me to say thanks very much, Ugan, for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Nick. And maybe just as a parting thought, right? Remember, some time back, Klaus Schwab said, in the new world, it's not going to be the size that matters. It's the speed and the agility. And I mean, and in terms of what you just mentioned now, in terms of popularity of these smaller businesses like ourselves, it just goes to prove, right? I mean, in this new world order, as long as you have the agility to respond to customer requirements, you can be just as competitive with your large peers. So Nick, thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing you again next year at the show.
Thanks, Ugan. Appreciate it.